Good morning, everyone. My name is Hannah Olivas, and I am coming live to you today for another amazing episode of Mompreneur Mondays. I am one of the CEO and founders of She Rises Studios, and I just wanted to recap a little bit of what we talked about last week on our first episode of Mompreneur Monday while I wait for my amazing co host to join us. So last week we talked about what it is to be a mompreneur, how many different hats we wear, how do we keep it all organized, how does this work in life and business? What is that balance? We talked about time blocking, time management. We talked about working on your business instead of in it. We talked about setting realistic goals for your business financially. We talked about collaboration, collaborating with other mompreneurs, building your network, because as we all know, and we hear this often, our network is our net worth. And that means that if we are growing business relationships with other women and we are putting that effort and building that trust, we're not just showing up with some sales pitch saying, hey, come be my client, but you're actually engaging, you're actually working together to build a business relationship or collaborating together, then that's what we were talking about, learning to say no and avoiding burnout. So we talked about self-care. So today I am actually going to add my co-host Angela Bell, um, who has just joined me. So every Monday we will start promptly at 11 a.m. We're just going to take about 8 minutes of your time. And I was just recapping with them, Angela, what we talked about last week. Um,
Mhm.
if you want to take some time, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then we're going to dive into some time blocking skills.
Amazing. Thank you, Hannah. Yes, my name is Angela Bell. I am the founder of the Inspired and Profitable Mompreneur. And I'm dedicated to helping moms create and grow their own businesses so they can create time and financial freedom. And with that, these sorts of things like, time management, time blocking, everything we're going to be talking about here is so relevant because we as moms have so much going on in our lives that starting or growing our own business takes some skill.
Definitely. So one of the things that I do for time blocking is and this requires skill. So I don't want any mamas out there to get overwhelmed with what we're about to share with you, because we are going to keep it so simple and break down each step. Mine is going to probably be a little bit different than Angela's, and that's
Mhm.
okay. And the reason why we're going to share the differences is because every mama, who I call the Go Mama Go, has a thing that works for them, a strategy
Mhm.
that works for them. This is just to help you mamas out there who might need a little different perspective on what time blocking is. So for me, I like to do an hour at a time. So I give myself 50 minutes of a task that I have aligned to come up in my schedule, say for Monday. But way even before I block out my schedule, Sunday nights is strictly for me to plan out the week ahead. And sometimes, if I'm really good at it, I'll plan out 2 weeks ahead. And that helps me to see, okay, so this is what I have to do Monday, this is what I have to do Tuesday, and so on. Then I break it down even more and I put inside my calendar, I'm spending an hour on, for example, today's mompreneur. We talk about the topics, we have to schedule it, we have to have the graphics, etc. So every single task I allot a certain amount of time for. The bigger tasks, I give myself 50 minutes. And then I don't know about anyone else out there, but after 50 minutes, I'm kind of like, okay, my brain's kind of like on overload. So I'll get up, give myself 10 minutes. I literally walk around in my home office, high stepping, getting the circulation going, get hydrating, just something to keep me focused so that when I sit back down to work on my next time blocking, I'm totally in tune with what I need to do next. So I definitely do minor every 50 minutes with a 10-minute break, except for the smaller tasks, I'll give myself 20 minutes. What about you, Angela? Tell us what you're doing.
So mine varies a little bit in that, especially on the days when I'm home with my kids, and actively like caring for them during the day. I often have to break it down into much smaller chunks because I've got to find spaces in and around what the kids and I are doing or what they may or may not need from me. So one thing I learned really early on was to start by getting clarity in my time. So looking at it and saying, because we're also quick to say we have no time. But when we really look at it, there's these pockets of time where, we're scrolling on our phones or we're, just kind of sitting, waiting for someone to need us. And once we identify those pockets of time and get clear on what we have, we find that we do have time to work on things. So I sometimes work in as little as 15 minutes, call it the power of 15 focused minutes, where, you really focus in on something for 15 minutes and it's a long enough time you can actually make progress. Like if you're networking on Facebook or on social media, you're connecting with your ideal client, you're sharing information, you can do that in 15 minutes. But it's not so long that it overwhelms us immediately and we think I'm never going to fit that in. So when I have to balance momming and entrepreneuring in that delicate way we do, I like to use those smaller 15-minute blocks. And then when I have time to myself away from the kids, I will do the 50. I usually kind of do 45 minutes and then 15 minutes to walk around, eat something, stretch, do some breathing, breath work. I find really effective for getting the energy going as well.
Definitely. That's why I love my little breaks in between each time block, just because, we do get tired of sitting. We do get tired of being on the phone. We do get tired of being on social media. Like you said, there's those moments where we're sitting there waiting for someone to need us and we could be doing other things with that time. So if we're mindful and we have strategy, we get so much more done. So for you, it's the power of 15 minutes. For me, it's the power of 50. Unless it's a smaller task, then yeah, I'll say, okay, so I'm going to take 20 minutes to do a quick call, and this goes into, ladies, when you're booking your Zoom meetings, or when you have a client that wants to have a Zoom meeting at the same time that you literally have to go pick up your child. How many of us are guilty of Zooming in the car, literally having a Zoom meeting, not being able to be on screen? So we're calling into our own Zoom that we have scheduled because we double scheduled ourselves while we're going to pick up our children from school. I know I have. Because we're trying to do too much in one time block. So it goes back to, I like to take Sundays and say, okay, so here's my schedule. Here's the amount of hours that I know that I have to work with. For the summer, it's a lot easier because my little Sophia is not in school, so I'm not as time constrained. But Monday through Friday, I know I have 6 hours solid. Unless, what happens? How many of us mamas get the call from school? Can you come pick up your child? Your child was hurt. Your child is sick. Whatever the case is. So we have to have plan A, B, C, all the way to Z. But if you are focused and you really set out your goals for the week ahead of time, you do that time blocking ahead of time, it's like you have this plan. Is everything going to go right? Absolutely not. It never does. Why? Because that's just life. Why? Because we're human. Why? Because we're mamas who are in business wearing 20 different hats. So take the step, ladies, and really get mindful on that power of 15 minutes, if that's the strategy you like, or if it's the power of 50, or some even do where they only work 3 days a week on their business, right? So let's talk about that. If you were working just 3 days on your business, Angela, what would that look like?
Well, I would have like themed days. I really like to theme my days in that I do all of one type of activity on a day, because when I'm in the mindset, I get more done, right? So I have my like content creation day, or I have my client interaction day, or I have my, planning, strategizing, that sort of thing day. And that way I get in the mindset and I'm not breaking up my thought process and trying to shift gears. So I'm better able to move through things because I'm already creative, or I'm already thinking about the future. I'm already talking to my clients or thinking about my clients. So I would break it up that way, and then keep with the, 45, 15 for me. working, taking a break, working, taking a break.
So there is no right or wrong way to time manage yourself. It's just it's an actionable step that you should do to help you so that you're not all over the place. Like I was 2 years ago a woman who had 30 different notebooks, and I would write appointments in one, appointments in another, and then before I know it, I'm forgetting appointments. I actually had to go and seek real help and hire a strategist. And she was like, Hannah, your biggest mistake is you're not time blocking. You're not organized. This is what you have to do. So if you are one of those mamas out there who has 20 different books, plus a calendar, plus your phone that you utilize for notes, you got to kind of condense it and let's get some organization in there. So this will conclude today's Mompreneur Monday. We're really going to try to value everyone's time for chiming in and listening to us. We're so excited that you are joining us. This is our second episode. Angela, is there anything coming up on your end that you want to share with the audience before we close out?
A couple things, actually. So I'm really excited. We've got the Mom Magic Anthology that's coming out in October. So we're just filling the last few spots. So if you are a mompreneur looking to become a published best-selling author, we'd love to have you in that. And then we also have the podcast that comes out regularly on Tuesdays and Fridays, and Inspired and Profitable Mompreneur TV that shows a new episode every Wednesday. So lots of opportunities to learn, to grow, and to, network and get yourself out there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I know for us, She Rises Studios, we have a new podcast episode coming out Wednesday at 9 a.m. We are gearing up for our next anthology book release, which is coming out in September on the 27th, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Finance. Many of us are actually going on book tour starting the 30th of this month. So any of these events that we're talking about, you can always find on our She Rises website. Of course, you can also go to Angela's website as well. We'll provide that information in the show notes. But thank you so much, Angela, for being with me today. Next week, I think we're going to talk about setting realistic financial goals in life and in business. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you, Angela. Have a wonderful, amazing Monday ahead. Thank you, everyone.